and welcome to Module 11, Lecture 4. Continuing on with our discussion of exchange rates. Last class, we talked about the basic introductory facts of exchange rates, and this lecture is going to be talking about the major theory of why exchange rates end up at the value they do. So let's do a review before we get to the new stuff. What did we learn last lecture? We learned that exchange rates are the cost to buy one country's money with another country's money. And in your life, if you've done international traveling, where you'll have come across this is when you changed money at the airport. But while changing, there is a lot of money that is changed at the airport. You don't actually have to travel to another country before you have to buy their currency. If you're living in the U.S. and buying from a Japanese company, they want to be paid in Japanese money. Even though you stay in the U.S., you would buy Japanese money with U.S. money to get yen to pay the Japanese exporting company. So a whole lot of the money that is used to buy other countries' money is done by import and export countries within countries. The price, the exchange rate between countries can be thought of as a price, and once you think of it as a price, you realize it will be determined by supply and demand as usual. And then lastly, the more expensive a country's currency is, the more expensive it is to buy goods from that country. Because if you're in the U.S. and you buy a table from a Japanese company, the cost is determined by two things. Number one, the cost of that table in yen, but then number two, how much it costs you to buy that much yen with dollars. So exchange rates going up or down make it more or less expensive to buy things from other countries. And when the Japanese yen gets more expensive, it becomes more expensive for Americans to use dollars to buy Japanese products. And when the Japanese yen gets less expensive, becomes cheaper to buy, it becomes cheaper for people in the U.S. to take their dollars, buy yen, and then buy Japanese tables. So those are the highlights you need to remember as we move forward in this lecture. So I said that the exchange rates are determined by supply and demand, and that's true. But we can do better than just say the exchange rates will be whatever supply and demand determines. We can understand some of the main forces, or at least in this lecture, we're going to understand one of the main forces that affects supply and demand and heavily determines where exchange rates do end up. Here is the setup. Imagine that there's a certain type of table that is being sold in Japanese stores, and it costs 800 yen. If you go into a Japanese store and look at the price tag, it says 800 yen. If you ask how much is this in dollars, they look at you blankly, just like if you were at Albertsons and you asked how much the celery was in yen. Now, the exact same table is available in American stores and costs $20. Let's, for simplicity's sake, remember this is a model, and as we've done with models ever since the beginning, they are simpler versions of reality, and one of the things we're going to use to make this simple is we'll assume there's no transportation cost across the Pacific Ocean. So you could always import this table from Japan and sell it in the United States and sell it for $20. Here's the question. Would you want to? Well, you don't have enough information yet. Let me give you the information you need. And what the information you need is the exchange rate. So at the top is a reminder of the basic information that in Japan, this table costs 800 yen, and in the US, this table costs $20. And we're going to start with an exchange rate of 80 yen to the dollar. So with a dollar, you can buy 80 yen, and with 80 yen, you can buy a dollar. So here's the question. If you have dollars and you want to buy this table in Japan, the first thing you have to do is buy 800 yen. So how much does it cost to buy 800 yen. Give you a second to think about it. You can pause the video if you want more time. With an exchange rate of 80 to 1, how much does it cost to buy 800 yen? That's right. With an exchange rate of 80 yen to $1, $10 is the right answer. Since each dollar can buy 80 yen, to get 800 yen, you need $10. So with $10, you could buy 800 yen. Well, what does this mean? It means that you could take $10, if you're in America, you could take $10 that you have, you could buy 800 yen, you could spend the 800 yen to buy that table in Japan for 800 yen, import it to the United States, and sell it for $20. Well, this is a good deal. Look what you've just done. You started with $10 and you ended with 20. To repeat, what are you doing? You're taking $10 out of your pocket, you're buying 800 yen, you're taking the 800 yen and you're ordering the table from a Japanese table export company. The table comes over here to the US. Tables like this are selling for $20. You bought it for $10, you sell it for $20, you made a $10 profit. You're going to want to do this. You're going to want to do this a lot. In fact, everyone will want to do this. Of course, to do this, you have to buy yen. So what is going to happen? It's going to be a mad rush to buy yen. And this mad rush to buy yen with dollars is going to create a shortage of yen. Now, what happens on the international exchange market when there's a shortage of yen? Well, what happens in any market when there's a shortage of the product people are trying to buy? Right? The price rises. So the price of yen in dollars will start to rise. Or if you remember from the lecture last time, the proper way of saying this in the language of foreign exchange rate markets is the yen will appreciate, and if the yen is appreciating compared to the dollar must be depreciating. The yen will be getting more valuable compared to the dollar, and the dollar will be getting less valuable. So what does it look like on the exchange market when the yen starts to appreciate? Well, we were at an exchange rate of 80 yen to $1. As the yen gets more valuable, you'll get less yen for a dollar. So that instead of getting 80 yen, maybe you'll only get 40 yen. And then if you look at it from the other point of view, as the yen gets more valuable and the dollar gets less valuable, it used to take 80 yen to buy a whole dollar. Now it only takes 40 yen to buy a whole dollar. So when you see the exchange rate go from 80 yen equals a dollar to 40 yen equals a dollar, what you are seeing is the yen is appreciating and the dollar is depreciating. And that's being caused, in my example, by this mad rush to buy yen with dollars to import tables from Japan. Now, how long will this go on? How long will this mad rush to buy yen go on? Well, let's look at this new exchange rate of 40 yen to the dollar. Okay. Remember, the tables used to cost 800 yen in Japan, or still cost 800 yen in Japan, $20 in the US. So now, how many dollars? At 40 yen to the dollar, how many dollars will it take to get 800 yen? Well, $10 will get you 400 yen, so it'll take $20 to get you 800 yen. Thus, you'll need as many dollars to start out with as to buy the table in Japan as you will be able to sell the table in the US. So it does not help you. You do not gain from spending $20 to buy 800 yen and then import the table. And the other way around would be the same deal. That how many yen will it take you to get $20 to buy the table in the US? It'll take 800 yen. No point in spending 800 yen to buy dollars to buy a table in the US to re-import it back into Japan and sell it for 800 yen. So when we hit this exchange rate of 40 yen equals a dollar, there's no money to be made either by buying the table in Japan and importing to the US or being in Japan, buying the table in the US and importing in Japan. So there will not be a rush anymore to buy dollars or yen in either Japan or America. And if there's not a rush to buy dollars or yen, we can settle in at an equilibrium. The shortage or the surplus is over. So what we're working through here is really a theory of what exchange rates will turn out to be. And this model is coming up with the answer that the exchange rate between two countries will adjust so that buying tradable goods in one country will have the same price or cost as buying tradable goods in the other country, so you won't get an avalanche of tradable goods moving from one country to the other country. And this theory has a name. It's called the purchasing power parity theory of exchange rates. So the purchasing power parity theory of exchange rates says that the exchange rate between the United States and Japan will adjust itself. So if you look at goods, the price of goods, tradable goods, meaning they can be traded from the U.S. to Japan and vice versa, how much they cost in Japan in yen and how much they cost in the United States in dollars, the exchange rate of yens to dollars will adjust so that the value is the same. So that an 800 yen table will equal in cost a $20 table in the U.S. And if 800 yen equals $20, then the exchange rate is 40 yen equals $1. So this is the most basic and probably the most important of the theories of what determines exchange rates. So what does the purchasing power parity theory of exchange rates predict will happen when a country has inflation? All right, well, let's reset the problem. Table in Japan is selling for 800 yen. Identical table in the US is selling for $20. The exchange rate has settled down at 40 yen equals $1 to make the price of the tables the same no matter which currency you're using to buy it. And now suddenly the U.S. has inflation, and the price of tables in the U.S. doubles to $40. Now there's going to be pressure to play the same game we talked about before. People will realize they can take $20, buy yen, convert the table, buy the table in Japan, send it to the U.S. and sell it for 20. So once again, there'll be a big rush of U.S. Importers to buy Japanese yen and get the tables in Japan at the old price and bring them back to the U.S. and sell them for the new higher inflated price. And what will happen is exactly what happened before. This rush to buy yen will cause the value of the yen to appreciate and the value of the dollar to depreciate until the dollar has depreciated enough that the price, the new exchange rate, again sets the price of tables in the U.S. in dollars equal to the price of tables in Japan in yen with the new price of dollars, so that the exchange rate will now no longer be setting 800 yen equal to $20. It will be setting 800 yen equal to $40, which, if you do the math, converts to an exchange rate of 20 yen to $1. So the exchange rate goes from 40 yen to $1 to 20 yen to $1. Couple things to note. First, the value of the dollar has depreciated. It's gone down in value on the international exchange markets, which makes perfect sense because the value of the U.S. dollar has depreciated in the United States. It takes twice as many U.S. dollars to buy a table in the U.S. Shouldn't the exchange market adjust so it takes twice as many U.S. dollars to buy that table in Japan? And that's what it's done. So the U.S. dollar is losing value everywhere within the U.S. and then in terms of buying goods in other countries too. And in fact, the U.S. dollar has, because the price of dollars or the price of tables in the U.S. has doubled, the U.S. dollar can buy half as many tables as before. You see that the new exchange rate has cut the value of the dollar in half, so that the dollar has lost half its value within the country when table prices rise from 20 to 40, and the dollar has lost half its value outside the country when it used to take a dollar used to be able to get 40 yen. Now a dollar can only get 20 yen. And that's enough about exchange rates. There's a couple more things I could say, but time starts to grow short. I think if you can absorb and understand this, I'll be well satisfied. As you get ready for quiz 2, right, you're going to go do your reading. You might wonder, so what kind of math will I have to do on the quiz? Well, I'll tell you, there's only one kind of math question I might ask you on the quiz. Number 2, of course, you had math on quiz number 1, and you had the homework to prepare you. Do you need a homework to prepare you for quiz 2? No. Not going to make it, you're not going to get fancy here. What I would possibly ask you is to say, a table in Japan costs this many yen. The same table in the United States costs this many dollars. What is the exchange rate going to be? So if I gave you the problem, the table in Japan costs 800 yen, the table in the US costs $20, what does the purchasing power parity theory of exchange rates predict that the exchange rate will be? The answer would be 40 yen to the dollar. And if you can do that, then that's what you need to be able to do. All right, so this finishes up to what you need to do for quiz 2. 2 more lectures and one last quiz, and then the module 11 quiz, and then the final, and done. This is actually all we're going to talk about for international trade and international financial exchange. The last 2 lectures are going to be on 2 little topics that need to be talked about. Haven't had a place to talk about them yet in the semester. I'll talk about them now. And I will see you for that. Until then, take care.